Hi,
Hi,
I'm Ryan,
and I'm Jacob.
and we're with Lingwood Vlogs.
That's right.
We're here to show you how to make pickles today. Beautiful, crispy, tasty pickles. We're going to give you a step-by-step tutorial. So put your pickling pants on. Let's get her done.
Pickling pants, baby.
Okay, let's get to it. Step one with making pickles is you're going to get your quart jars cleaned and sanitized. What you're going to really do is put all your quart jars in the dishwasher. You're going to take the lids off. I like to use the wide mouth jars. I do about 48 jars because I like to get a lot of jars and a lot of pickles. So clean them, sanitize them, and you'll be ready to get your jars all full of the ingredients, and we'll go to step two. And then you can see I prepped the lids and the tops. I counted 48 of these, 50 of those. I don't have a problem reusing. These don't really matter anyway because, you know, it's just the lid that screws on. That is the piece that matters. So what you want to do, obviously I used that before. Some people get new ones of these every year. I don't think that's necessary. You can reuse them once or twice. You see it's still in very good shape. Okay, now that we've got our jars, our lids, and our caps all ready to go, let's go over the list of ingredients. Obviously you need dill. We're making dill pickles. So I've got 2 bunches here, and 2 bunches should make 4 dozen, so 1 bunch would make about 2 dozen. We're going to end up taking these little bunches off. We'll go over that later. I've got two boxes of pickles. Each one's 20 pounds, so that should make 40 jars or so. These are rather large pickles. Some of these I'll cut up. I'll make spears out of them. The smaller ones I like because they're just quick snack pickles called gherkins. They're not all gherkins, but this is kind of a mixed box. Now what you want to do with these is you want to make sure all those flowering ends are off. There's another great example. That little bud needs to come off. So we're going to do a water bath. We're going to make sure they're all trimmed up so there's no flowering ends. And we'll go through that in a minute. As far as our other ingredients, I like to add these red cayenne peppers. I put about, I don't know, you don't have to put any in, but the more you put in, the spicier they are, the hotter they are. So I usually do about 4 or 5 of those. Peeled garlic. You can add this mustard seed. We got the pickling salt. You got to have pickling salt. You cannot use the regular salt, the table salt. You have to have pickling salt. It'll ruin your pickles. We got dill seed. And then I'm going to use Mrs. Wage's Extra Crunch to make sure those things stay crunchy when they're done. We got black peppercorn. And we got pickling spice as well. Now, pickling spice is really just a combination of most of these ingredients. But I like to put a little bit of that in there as well. It's got the bay leaves. Bay leaves preserve the crunch as well. So that's all you need there. And then, of course, distilled white vinegar. Do not use apple cider vinegar for these pickles. Then you need one of these. It's a jar lifter outer. We've got our teaspoons. You don't want to use anything that's metal that's going to touch the water. So you got a wooden spoon for stirring. Got a couple jar fillers, jar funnel fillers. And this is the key. You need these pots, these ceramic coated pots. You cannot boil the brine in a regular pot or you'll end up with funny tasting pickles, or you might even get cloudy pickles. I've got 2 of them. One I do the brine and one is for the water bath, which we'll do later. So that's it. That's all your supplies, and you can get pickling.
Now, before you can your pickles, you want to cut off the blossom end. And there's many ways to tell which side is the blossom end. For one, you can tell by the color of it. Right here, see how it's green right here? This is where the stem was. See, there's the stem. And then it goes into a lighter color, and that's the blossom end. Now you might ask why you want to cut off the blossom end. And that's because there's little enzymes in this part of the pickle, and it will screw up your pickle. It'll make it softer, and you just don't want to gross, soggy pickle. So you want to cut this off about a 1/16 of an inch, and then you'll be good to go. And just like that. Another way you can tell if there's no stem, you could tell by looking at the end of it. And this circle right here is going to be way bigger than this side. This side right here is the blossom end. This right here is where the stem was, so you want to cut this end off.
Okay, what we got here is Jacob filling in the mustard seed. Doing it very well, doing a great job doing it. He's putting about a teaspoon of mustard seed in each jar. We've already got the peppercorns in there, and we've got some dill in there. We've got a few more ingredients to put in. You can put in as little or as much as you want of these flavorings. You can experiment with it. I mean, you can see we're doing 48 jars, so we do have an experimental jar we're doing to see how we like it. Flavor to taste. Once we get that done, we're going to put the cucumbers in there. You can see we've got the flowering end cut off of all this batch. I've got a whole other batch to do. Those are the gherkins. And we'll fill up the jars here shortly. Now what we do is the garlic, we put about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic in there, so we're going to put a couple cloves on the bottom and then a couple cloves on kind of squished in between the pickles to have them kind of in the middle. And same with the Mrs. Wages, we put that on top. But flavor to taste.
Alright, now we got all of our ingredients that we want at the bottom of the jar. And now that all of the pickles are clean, we're just going to go in a circle, put the biggest pickles in a circle like this. So that way you can fit as many pickles as you want in there. See that? We got that little circle right there. It looks really good. And now we're going to shove this one right in the middle. Now that we got our pickles in here, we're going to put 2 more garlic cloves up top. And then we're going to put peppers up top. And then we're going to shove the little pickles and put them on top also. So it'll be a real nice compacted jar of pickles.
Okay, at this point, we're going to create the brine. The brine is 7 cups of water to 4 cups of white distilled vinegar. I've already got the water in there and 4 cups, so I doubled it up. So we're doing 14 cups of water and 8 cups. What is going on here? Anyway, 14 cups of water and 8 cups of white distilled vinegar. This is the last of the vinegar. That is a 4-cup container. Put that in there. We got it on boil. We're going to let that boil. It's going to be a while, and then we're going to add, normally it would call for a 1/4 cup of pickling salt. So actually I'm going to wait till that boils a little bit to add the salt. So I'm going to do, instead of, I'm doubling it up, so we're going to do a 1/2 cup of pickling salt. And that'll be the brine. Then we'll pour them in our jars once Jacob's got them all good to go. And we'll cap them, and then we're going to do a boiling bath. We're going to boil it for 10 minutes in a water bath. Good job, Jacob.
Pickle Nation.
We've packed our jars full to about the rim. We poured the boiling brine on about the first 2 rows. So what you got to do is add 1/4 teaspoon of Mrs. Wade's Extra Crunchy to the top. I don't want it on the pickles. I want it in the jars. Just kind of sprinkle it in there. You got to be kind of fast because we just poured it. We don't want it to cool off. And we got to cap it. Do the last one. 1/4 teaspoon. It'll dissolve. I mean, you don't have to mix it in or anything. Just put it in there. Okay, now we've got that in. Cap them quickly. Now, if you notice, we left about an inch of space. So just put the lids on. You can see we're reusing some lids. I cleaned the lids before we started. Put the lids on. You just want to get these lids on, and then you can do the caps because you got to conserve that heat. And then we got to do a 10-minute bath. And you just put it on finger tight. You don't want it to go real tight because they got to kind of burp. When you do the water bath. Once you've got the first few, stick them in the water because it takes a little while. So that's it. That's hand tight, just a little bit. All right. Follow me. We've got water boiling over here. It's a soft boil. It's just really hot. Now this part you kind of want to be careful with in case you get any kind of blow. Use your dipper. Remember, you're going from what was a pretty cold jar into a pretty hot bath. Ideally, you don't want it to touch the bottom because it could crack. As long as you go kind of slow, you should be fine. Put a couple in there. You need to do this for 10 minutes. You really don't even want them to touch each other either, but I didn't do that. We'll put one more in. So you can see 3 jars. Gets it right about to the top. You see those bubbles coming up? That's the bubble. That's the water. That's the air coming out of the jars. Set our timer for 10 minutes. And wait.
Pickle Nation.
Did have 3 jars left over with nothing in them. So I looked in the fridge, found a bunch of carrots. I cut these the length of the jar. Think that's probably enough, but the tips I'm going to save to fill the jar if I need to. There goes my alarm. Now these are a little different. You have to blanch these for 90 seconds in boiling water. Take them out, rinse them off, and then put them in the jar. That's the key to carrots, is blanch them for 90 seconds, boiling them in boiling water, and then can them the exact same way we do the pickles. Okay, here we are with all the jars all done. Like I said, I had 3 extra, so I did carrots. One thing I just want to go over is you'll notice that all of the centers of the lids will pop. That's how you know you're airtight. That one wasn't popped yet, but it won't pop back up, so it was about to pop. If you find some that aren't after tomorrow, after 24 hours, you probably didn't get a good seal, and I have a feeling this one is going to be that way. I thought I saw another one, maybe this one. So I'm thinking these 2 are not going to have proper seal. Now all that means is I get to eat them. So all the rest we're going to let sit for a couple months. I suggest no less than 2 months.
Ooh.
Nice.
Ooh, thanks for watching. Don't forget to put the dates on your pickles, and you'll get to enjoy them in 2 months. Wow, how about that? This is us signing off. Sayonara.
Adios.